Hey guys, Charai5 here, and today we are going to do another speed paint discussion video. It's been a while since I've done one of these, and I'm glad to be getting back into it. The reason it had been a while since doing one of these is because I was working on 3 different Everything Wrong Withs, which are all I'm all recording today on the basis of, you know, the 3 Everything Wrong Withs that I hadn't uploaded. The speed paint videos that I hadn't uploaded, more specifically, because I'd been working like crazy on these Everything Wrong Withs because I really wanted to do something for December leading up to Christmas, but I just didn't have anything, so I really just improvised these 3 games. The first of which is Man X7, and a lot of people might be wondering why start with X7, considering that I think X6 and I think even X5 had... Hell, even X4 had cutscenes, I think, I'm pretty sure. X1 through 3 didn't, I think. And then starting with X4 did, and that's where the famous, or infamous, "What am I fighting for?" line comes from. But I'll get to that game eventually. But the reason I started with X7 is because I messed up. A year ago, or last year I should say, in 2016, I went to a convention called Too Many Games in Oaks, Pennsylvania. And there, I met a couple of followers, or a couple people that recognized me, and one of those lovely people is a young man named Elijah, and he asked me to not only sign his copy of the Mega Man X collection on... Was it the X collection or was it X7? I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was the first time I'd ever signed anything, and it felt amazing. And he also requested that I cover Mega Man X8 on the channel. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And so a year went by. I saw him again this year at the same convention. I apologized for not getting to it, and I told him I'd get to it. That I was going to get to it before I saw him next. So I don't know if I'll see him next year. Probably. But I had totally forgotten which one it was. And I wrote down X8 because I was like, I think it was X8. I think that's what he said. And I was wrong. Sometime later, when I announced that I was doing Mega Man X7, he followed me on Twitter. I guess he noticed and made a Twitter account. I don't know. It was like, oh, man, it's not X8, but whatever. I'm just like, no, really? X8 is what you wanted? Shit, I forgot. I didn't... I forgot that that's what you want. I thought it was X7 what you wanted, and I got upset because, well, I didn't get upset, but you know, it was one of those moments because it was like, this fucking sucks, and now I have to sit through another game that probably sucks just as much. But yeah, and when it comes to Mega Man, it's the first Mega Man game I've ever covered on the channel, and I'm a little surprised because it doesn't really look all that good, really. Just I guess realistically speaking, I did see the game in action, and I mean it looks like it could have been interesting. It just really wasn't all that interesting, and the story just overall is awful. The story really is just ugh. That being said, I didn't really grow up with Mega Man, actually. I was always interested in Mega Man, but I never really owned an NES as a kid, so most of the Mega Man games were there. While I owned a Super Nintendo, I never played any of the X series, but I did as an adult. I looked for an emulator that had the X collection and the original collection. I don't remember, the Mega Man Legacy Collection or something like that. So I've played Mega Man 1 and 2, and I've beaten them on their original difficulties as well. But I haven't played any other Mega Man games beyond that. And I've played Mega Man X1 and 100% of that because that was a really, really fun game. I do love the X series more. Well, I like X1 more than I liked the original 1 and 2. That's not to say that the original 1 and 2 are bad. They're great. And I think it was actually a really, really nice coincidence because to me, it was, oh, this is going to be like a present to Elijah because, you know, I promised I'd do this and I hadn't done it. So it was kind of like a present. So that's why I sort of put it into the December category. And come to find out that like a week before the video came out, they announced Mega Man 11, Capcom. And it's funny because the last time that they did a Mega Man game was Mega Man, well, a main series. I don't even know if it was like a main series Mega Man game or a Mega Man game, you know, period. Mega Man 10 for the... Was it specifically for the Wii? I don't remember. But yeah, it's been a while since they've made a Mega Man game. And I mean, I don't blame them. When you have 11 games under your belt. I mean, Final Fantasy does it. They're up to 15 at this point. But yeah, I do think that the games are very fun. I was really interested in Mighty Number 9 when it was announced and, you know, people following it and everything. I was sort of excited for that game. And then, actually, Mighty Number 9 came out last year around the time I went to the convention. Like a few days before the convention took place. And Nathaniel Bandy, who I was staying with at the time, he got it, and he was just like, "This is awful. Do not get this game. It bricks Wii U's." I'm just like, oh no. And I saw a little bit of it in action. I'm just like, wow, really? They funded so much money, and this is the animation they have? Like, I really do think that they could have done better. It doesn't look like it's a terrible game, but it doesn't look like a kind of game that, you know, has the budget that it had, unfortunately. Will I ever cover Mighty Number 9? I might. I may cover Mighty Number 9 in the future. Fortunately, there's a plethora of games out there that I have yet to cover, and the reason I've yet to cover them is because I haven't played them. For example, all the games I covered in December, I've never played them. I've only ever seen the cutscenes and a little bit of gameplay. So yeah, like usually my policy when it comes to doing these games is I want to play them first because I know that there's a lot of in-game dialogue too. I'm just like, oh, this isn't what you said, or like sometimes you can just watch the cutscenes and they're in one world and suddenly they're in the next, and there's no in-cutscene explanation for it, but there's an in-game one. So I'd rather play the games and experience them for myself before going into it. And I have a lot of games in my backlog that I have not played yet, and that's why Everything Wrong With don't come out, you know, every week, because games take a while, and you know, also stuff like this, the art takes a while too. This piece is 3 different characters, all of whom have very complicated designs. Have I drawn X before? I don't remember. I know I have drawn Mega Man before, but I've never drawn Zero before. The only reason I know Axel is because I saw like a Mega Man X7 review a long time ago, but that's the only reason I know Axel. Otherwise, I wouldn't know who this guy is. And Axel has like the most complicated of the designs too. Actually, speaking of Zero, I remember for some reason, I really love the designs. Ever since I was a kid, I loved the designs. Even though I never played any of the games, I always loved the designs. And Mega Man Battle Network was something that I was really interested in, but I never got. And I don't know how I got it, but I grew up with like a little Zero figure, which was probably one of my favorite toys. Whoa, Jesus, okay, sorry about that. Which is probably one of my favorite toys growing up, because it just had like all of its limbs could bend. He had like hair that you could take out. It was just a really, really cool toy. It came with a sword and everything, and that toy is really busted up, and I've tried to keep it alive because of many dropping it incidents as a kid. I was very adventurous with my toys. But yeah, I still have that figure, and God, it's a Frankenstein of what it used to be, but a really cool toy. I always have liked Zero's design. It's a really cool one. But yeah, this piece took me like 5 hours. It was I really wanted to go all the way with it because I thought the design's really cool, and I really wanted to do it justice, you know? I really wanted to sort of experiment with what I could do, make them look shiny, make them look shaded, make them look really cool, make them look kind of anime, even. So I had to layer them a little bit because, yeah, like I said, their designs are kind of complicated. You can see that Axel and Zero really cover up X in the background, but I think that kind of works to the advantage of it a little bit, because Zero and Axel are pretty much the forerunners of the game, and X kind of joins in halfway through if you collect enough Mavericks, if you save enough of them. So he's not really that important, but, you know, I still wanted to include him there because it is a Mega Man game still. And here I'm just adding the finishing touches. I wanted to layer it so that like I could have different shading, so like they could cast shadows on each other, but then I realized, well, if I do that, they're also going to have outlines on them, and that won't look really good, so I just ended up having them all on one layer, as I usually do anyway, and here's the compositing, and this is the final result right here. I really, really liked how this one came out. I like the fact that I gave them all like very distinct skin tones, because I noticed that X was a bit more pink than everyone else. Axel naturally is a little bit more orange. Zero's a little bit more yellowish in his skin tone, but I did like how this ended up coming. I do think nowadays, and you'll see why in future discussion videos, but I do think that the compositing is a little bit too rough, and you'll see why later. But I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you saw the everything wrong with Mega Man X7. That was something that I did not expect a lot of people would enjoy, but a lot of people did. So yeah, that goes to show that I need to do more Mega Man games, and I definitely will be covering X8 for Elijah, because I totally messed up and did the wrong game, but that only opens us possibility for more Mega Man X games, so you can expect that. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Stay safe and stay awesome. This is Char5, signing off.